Hello, my Libra friends. Let's talk about what 2026 has in store for you. And 2026 is definitely going to be a year where relationships, social networks, personal growth are at the forefront. From love and friendships to finances and personal evolution, the planets are asking you to discover what truly balances your life. And a lot of that has to do with Venus retrograding. Now, of course, Venus retrogrades every 2 years, and Venus is your ruling planet as a Libra. It's about love and balance and harmony and money and uh, just it balances the scales, right? And so when it retrogrades, this gives you a chance for a lot of reflection and recalibrating of those scales in your life. Now, when that Venus retrograde happens, it's going to be October 25th to November 14th of this year. So even though it doesn't come until the end of the year is going to kind of carry that flavor. Time for reassessing your needs, your values, and your personal boundaries too. So consider where you may have compromised a little bit too much for harmony. Imagine that, Libra, right? Maybe it's the time for upgrading your habits and your attitudes and sense of self-worth as a another thing that's going to be happening this year as well too, and we'll kind of dig into all of these things here. But having this once in an 8 year cycle end and a new one beginning, there's so much that's going to be happening in a lot of ways. So let's just get to it. How about that? Why don't we do that? So let's start out with cash flow and finances. Now, your second house of money is going to be activated once Venus starts to go through into Scorpio. Scorpio season, really in the fall, is when all those fast moving planets really start to enter that second house of money and finances. So once that happens, September 10th to October 3rd, there's definitely a chance for money to come in a lot easier. It's kind of magnetized, it's easier to negotiate or to find income opportunities. Now, that retrograde that I was talking about at the beginning of the video here, that's carrying through the entire year anyway. You're already reassessing, like, let's say you have clients, how much you're charging for your services. Maybe you're looking at how much money you make at your current job and what concessions you're making to stay at that minimal amount where you could be making more. But really, a lot of what this year and that hint of Venus retrograde is it's a chance to reflect on financial self-worth, right? Spending, budgeting. These are things that you're really going to be looking at as the course of this year goes on. So when it comes to money, right? Focus on those practical money matters, cash flow, and budgeting. Definitely something that you will come out of this year with a lot better understanding. And you'll see those benefits of financial adjustments and upgrades as we move further along and then into 2027. So the main thing with this, though, is believe you deserve abundance, then design the systems to receive it. That's what it is, right? Because we're starting out this year and we're reassessing all the things that we value. We meaning Libra here. You're reassessing what you value, and that's your value systems in general. So let's say now that you value time with family more. If this is a year where you prioritize your work commitments around the family dynamics to make sure that you can spend more time with what you value more now, which is family time, then those abundance avenues are going to open up just like a magnet for you. They're going to open up automatically. So, working with that energy, looking to the past for how things work and how you want to balance that out is going to be key. So, let's move on to another area, shall we? Let's move on to home and family. Now, uh starting at the beginning of the year, we have the Sun and Mercury and Venus and Mars really moving through that fourth house of home and family. So, especially with Mars moving into Capricorn, hasn't been there for 2 years, it helps you to take charge of family matters. So, that's setting goals for the home life and really having that energy to make that happen. Now, another thing too that's going to be happening is Saturn moving into Aries as well. Uh, from February 14th, well, starting in February 14th. This is a huge thing. This is a 30-year cycle that's really encouraging healthy boundaries and responsibility. And that's in the seventh house of yours. So that's going to be with your marriage partnership. Saturn hasn't been here for 30 years. So this is where it's really stabilizing over the next couple of years as it transits that seventh house. It's stabilizing your most important relationships. So, but with that, Saturn is kind of a taskmaster, and it wants to make sure that everybody is responsible for their own side of the street. So those things might be coming up in those domestic relationships, or with roommates or with relatives, whatever it is, we have that Saturn coming through and trying to patch any cracks that may have surfaced in those 30 years with these relationships, right? Because it doesn't want to keep moving on shaky ground. Now, and I guess we'll kind of get right into that one too, right? Moving on from home and family, now we're moving into that relationship, marriage, love sector, that seventh house. It's not just Saturn that's moving in, and that's a good one, right? That's the stabilizing factor that's coming in. Now, let's say you're not partnered. Let's say you don't have a relationship. Having Saturn coming through, or if you're not married, but you've been with somebody for a while. I've seen over the years as Saturn moves into someone's seventh house, or in this instance, for Libra in general, this is a time where commitment really comes to the forefront moving forward. So Neptune also is coming in as well. So Neptune has not ever been here. It takes about 230 years for Neptune to make a revolution around the sun, where it's 365 days for our year. It's a whole lot longer for those further away planets. And so Neptune, what it does is it dissolves away things that just don't seem to work anymore, but it helps us to dream as well. Neptune is known as that mystical planet that really helps us to dream and manifest into reality what it is that we want. So Saturn and Neptune both in Aries, they are going to start moving through the seventh house of partnerships for you. Now, remember, Saturn brings structure, boundaries, and long-term commitments. Neptune, on the other side, encourages us to surrender. It encourages compassion for the other person, but heart opening as well, so you can receive that compassion as well. Now, February 21st, there's a rare Saturn Neptune alignment, a conjunction, and that shows you how to balance that structure with letting go in love. That's going to show you where you're trying to dream up that dream partnership, right? And with the alignment of Saturn, it's going to say and show you what practical steps are going to need to be taken to make that happen. Mars also coming through in a 2-year cycle may reignite some things that started 2 years prior. So you may find like 2 years ago you had some issues happening in 2024 in the spring in relationship. They may resurface. But the thing is, as it goes through there, as it starts to uh, transit in, you are seeing what steps you needed to have taken. Maybe you didn't get moving on, and now you can. And with Saturn right behind it, any steps that you take forward, it's going to make solid ground under your feet as you move forward. Now, let's say you're looking for love, right? Great time to do that is April 13th through the 20th, May 5th. That's a great time frame too. North Node in Aquarius, July 27th. Going through that fifth house of just romance in general really emphasizes fun, creativity, self-expression, being proud of getting out there, and just love life growth. So if you're looking for somebody new, that's a really, really great time as well. So February 17th, we have a new moon eclipse, and that guy's going to be happening in Virgo. Now, now for you, this is kind of a preview of new beginnings, I guess you could say, in romance and creative projects. So if you're ready to get some fire lit again in those relationships, that's going to be the moon to do it around the time of Valentine's Day. Now, happiness in children, let's look at that fifth house. Fifth house activity is high from late July, pretty much for the rest of the year. And it's linked to that North Node in Aquarius. Now, what the heck's the North Node, Kristen? Well, the North Node is the direction that our soul is moving in this lifetime. This is where we're supposed to be going to get to what our purpose is. The South Node is the karmic baggage, the things that we've been through in other past lives that we don't want to repeat again. So North Node is kind of the direction that we want to go, our compass. Now, that's moving through that fifth house for you. So the more that you can focus on what brings you happiness, joy, recreation, things with children, the things that light you up with your children, your own inner child, and then, of course, the kids in your own life, those things are really going to be coming to the focus. So if you can, kind of focus on those things, bringing playfulness, creativity, lightness back into your life, into your relationships, that's really going to make a dramatic change in your relationships. Not taking everything as serious, right? Finding where there needs to be balance, but also recognizing that you got to bring that level of romance and fun into it as well. And if you need that, being able to ask for it. So let's move on now into just, I guess, adventures and discovery. Now, Uranus settles into Gemini on April 26th, and this is a big deal, activating your ninth house. So that handles travel, adventure, higher learning, spiritual growth, and just, I think, philosophical perspective shifts in general. Now, what happens when we have Uranus, the planet of unexpected things, moving into the ninth house? This might bring a radical shift in your ideals. It may bring unexpected travels. Uranus is the planet of unexpected things. That planet is a crazy thing out there. You never know what to anticipate with Uranus. It does its own thing. It changes magnetic pole shifts. It can wobble, it can go upside down, it can go out of orbit easily, it can have seasons that last for decades, it can have them abruptly change. So with that in astrology, it carries that same type of energy. And you've got that going through that house of spiritual growth, higher learning, growing yourself, exploring the world, exploring different philosophical beliefs, exploring different religions. You may be looking at your outdated belief system and radically changing that. Now, remember, it just started. It's a 7-year process as it goes through that ninth house of yours. So I always say it makes the biggest impact when it goes in and when it leaves. So you may be finding the starting of that happening now. And especially as Mars joins up with Uranus, June 29th to August 11th, that's really pushing for action in terms of getting out there and exploring the world, because the more that you can explore, the more joy that it brings and the more insight that it gives you on what it is that you need to do to make some changes in life where you want to see them, right? So just be open to new experiences as they come up, new cultures, new learning opportunities. Maybe you want to take uh, new courses or something. You just never know. Saying yes could dramatically shift not only your worldview, but also your life. So that's it. Now, when it comes to friends and networks, communities, the groups that you belong to, Jupiter and Leo starting in June, at the end of June, onward for the rest of the year, in your 11th house of friends, support systems, visibility, it brings social expansion and luck. What Jupiter does, right, is it's a very lucky planet, and whatever it touches, it magnifies, and it's a very generous and a very beneficial planet. So having Jupiter going through that 11th house of yours, it is a 12-year cycle, and what it's trying to do is network you with the right people, not just people that can help grow and expand you in friendships, but making the right social connections for business as well too, to help you really, really get that momentum going forward in your professional life. Now, With the South Node hitting in there in July, it really is helping you to reassess those friendships that serve your growth. Uh, and release the draining connections that just don't fit anymore, right? You're ready to expand and grow, and Jupiter's ready to get you there. Now, the August 13th new moon eclipse is also happening here. So, those endings that might need to happen in friendships and communities and groups, it'll really get highlighted then. Eclipses have a way of doing that. Now, in terms of when we step into that, right? I think you might find that leadership roles may appear for you. Uh, but also, as you do that, you may be finding in these new social networks where you are able to showcase your talents, you are able to showcase your abilities and really let your light shine. But remember, there may be some other sides of it that pop up where you see those power dynamics amongst your friends or those other groups that you belong to that you're just like, that doesn't work for me anymore. And you'll know a little bit better than what you. Now, the dates to keep in mind where this will be happening in that time frame, October 3rd to kind of mid-November. Those are really going to reveal to you which connections work and which ones don't, right? So foster the ones that flourish, foster the ones that help you grow. Now, in terms of just rest and retreat, uh, that 12th house, that's what it represents. Our subconscious mind, our karmic baggage, the house of the unknown, but it's also the house of rest. And so when we have the South Node kind of moving through there in July, this is where you're going to find the summer. You really want to prioritize rest, quiet, and rejuvenation. Mercury retrogrades have a way of having us look to the past, right? And so from August 25th until September 11th, that's what's going to be hitting there, and it's reflecting on your inner life. You're really looking at just spending time alone, spending time in nature, connecting what your higher self is telling you. It's a great time to journal. It's a great time to write these things down in the air sign way that you do, and it'll help you process things, right? So just embrace that solitude and recharge your energy, your creativity, and your focus. Now, I think in general, right, we look at that and that's pretty much it. We're going to get to birth dates in a minute here, but now when it comes to, we already talked about the eclipses and how that is, how that's going to be important for you and that fifth house and in that 11th house, right? This is new beginnings are coming through in the house of children. They're moving on. They're getting older. They're moving into the next step. So that frees up time for you to focus on things that really bring you a little bit more joy. But then also that 11th house of networks and communities. That's the huge one this year that's getting rejuvenation. So we look at the eclipses, but we also look to see when the new moons and the full moons are hitting in our signs as well too. So for you, you want to plant those seeds of manifestation at the new moon. So that is going to be October 10th is going to be the new moon. Then we find that when we're ready to release things, when things are reaching ahead, when we're ready to surrender, when we're ready to tell the universe, I see what you're showing me, I'm ready to release these things. That's going to be on April 1st. That's going to be the full moon that happens then. So those are definitely timeframes that are important for you to be looking at. But now what we're going to do is look at certain birth dates. Now, if your birth date doesn't fall in here, it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen. Or you might find that all of these are valid for where you're at in your life this year. This is just kind of a general thing based off of planetary alignments that would align with that Libra sun at that time. Now, if you want to know how this impacts your actual birth chart, I have a link below. You can reach out and get a reading. But in general, let's look at this. So, planets, birthdays, influences, boom. Okay, so if your birthday is September 26th through the 29th, Pluto is going to be making a very positive connection to your sun. So, this is a chance for you to really reveal your true self and transform habits. September 23rd through the 29th, Uranus out there is going to be opposing your sun. So there's going to be a lot of push for authenticity. You're going to want to be in this phase this year of really working through what works for you and what doesn't, embracing change through new connections. Remember, we said there's so many new people coming in. They're helping you to find that most true, authentic version of yourself. So there may be a bit of a rebel that pops out in you this year, but as long as it's not hurting anybody, it's a good thing, right? October 8th through the 23rd, Jupiter is going to be squaring your sun, and that is going to be stretching you way beyond your comfort zones. And so that's a good thing though, because it's helping you to pursue your personal goals with bold conviction. I tell you what, you are definitely feeling that push to network, to connect with people. And the more that you do, the more blessings are going to come. So I think in general, right, that's pretty much everything, Libra. 2026 is really just about relationships, ones that fit you, personal growth, and finding balance between your needs and others' expectations. So just reflect and take action where it's necessary. And the big thing is going to be to allow adventure, joy, and just, I think, creativity and happiness to guide your year. Now, uh, be sure to watch your moon and your rising sign as well to get a little bit better of a picture. And if astrology is something that you're really starting to find interest in, I've created a 2026 astrology workbook, which is pretty dang cool. It's got an astrology 101 book at the beginning of it, and then it kind of explains how you can apply that with your birth chart and kind of understand that better. But then I go month by month and I break it down with the astrological events that are going to be happening. And then also for each of the new moons and the full moons and the eclipses, I have a lot more understanding for that in journal prompts to really help you utilize the energies of those moons and really get in that cosmic harmony with the universe. So I will have the link to that below as well. But thank you so much, Libra, for watching, and we'll see you next time.